Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Hey guys, do you remember the big windstorm we had several days back?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a story to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Let me preface this by saying a big thank you to Leah, who sometimes listens to the show, who sent me one of those weighted blankets. Do you guys have any?
I just got one of
yeah.
those about 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God, this thing has been amazing.
Yeah.
I call it my thunder blanket. She knew that I
Aw.
was going through a rough stretch, and she sent me that, and it has really helped. It
Mhm.
helps me sleep. It's great. I've been dreaming crazy dreams
Oh, nice.
because I'm getting into REM sleep and staying in it, and so.
Wow.
But
Nice.
I had just thrown it on the bed, and in the middle of the night, I don't know, maybe later, 2, 3 in the morning, I wake up and I'm just dying because I had just thrown it on top of the comforter, and I'm under the comforter, under the blanket. And so, but these things are so heavy
Yeah.
that you can't just whip it off when
Right.
you're lying down. You're like, ugh. So I decided to just push the comforter from below next to me, and so I'm like, oh boy. And then, and I listened to sleep sounds from my Alexa, and all of a sudden I see out of my side window, my bedroom window, which faces nothing but a building, I see this massive flash of white.
Whoa.
And then
Oh, shit.
the Alexa goes off and everything goes off.
Whoa. Oh no.
And I start hearing this crazy sound, and I'm thinking, well, this is the wind, but it sounds so bizarre. Did something happen? Like, were we just bombed or something? Because it was like a horror movie sound, like a giant ant coming over the hill or something. It was,
Whoa.
and I was kind of freaked out, and I thought, well, I hope that something next door didn't just blow up, and so I'm gonna
Geez, yeah.
put my clothes on and I'm gonna go see what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And mind you, it's 3 a.m. So everything is pitch black. I stumble out with my little phone flashlight. I put my clothes on out here in the living room, and then I make my way down the stairs of this place, which is also still pitch black and scary now.
Jesus.
And I make it outside, and I can hear that sound, and it's coming from somewhere down on the waterfront. It's coming from
Whoa.
far away, and it was really creepy. I mean, it was giving me the creeps. And so I make my way out to the main street, and you don't realize how pitch black it is when there's like not even a light on in a building,
Mhm.
much
Yeah.
less the street lights or anything.
Yeah.
All I can see is that the street is empty. There's a little black smudge at the end of the street, and it's my car, and I can only tell it's my car because there's a little red dot flashing,
Oh,
showing that the
yeah.
alarm's on. And the wind is blowing so hard, it's barely sprinkling, but every raindrop that's hitting me is like a needle. It's hitting so hard. And for a moment, I'm just sitting there like reveling in nature. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then I see just in the intersection of the main street down there, a little black smudge. It's a person standing in the intersection at 3 a.m. in the pitch black, and it starts walking towards me.
Oh no.
And you guys, I am not
Fuck.
embarrassed to say this. I don't think I have ever been as scared in my life as I was just then. I mean, my heart just started going crazy,
Yeah.
and I was almost petrified with fear because a part of me, the smart, normal part of me, was like, well, this is a homeless person who thought this would be a good time to take a walk in the middle of the street, I guess, in the middle of the night during a massive windstorm.
Sure.
But the part of me that's been reading and writing and watching scary movies for 50 years,
Yeah.
that part was like, oh, well, clearly the devil has come to Everett. And I've got my little phone flashlight on, so I quickly turned that off, and I'm like, okay, I'm coming back into the alley across from the entrance to the place, and I back myself up against the brick building that we can see right here from the window, because I want to see if this guy walks past.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, Kelly, what if he doesn't walk past? What if he turns in the alley here?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, fuck this. I'm getting back in the place. Well, I automatically lock the apartment building door when I leave, just always do. And now I can't see a fucking thing because it's pitch black.
Oh,
so I've got my
no.
keys in my hand. And I'm feeling my key. I'm going, okay, this feels like the door key. But then I've got my hand out and I'm touching the door trying to find the lock on it. So
Oh my God.
So I finally get in there, throw the deadbolt and everything, come back up those creepy stairs in the hallway, get back into my apartment. And I'm like, okay, calm down, Kelly. Calm down. That was clearly just some weirdo out there. And I'm also like, well, I'm probably not going back to sleep anytime soon, but I do have to work in the morning, so I should at least get back in bed. So I've got my little flashlight on my phone, that's worthless, and I'm kicking my shoes off, and I walk into my bedroom, and there's someone in my bed.
Oh my God.
Except it's just the comforter that I'd pushed off to the side.
Ah.
But for a moment, I was like, ah!
Oh my
And then I was
God.
like, fuck this night.
That last thing I've experienced, I'm sure we all have several times, like you see the meme, closed on a chair during the day,
Yes.
closed on a chair at night.
Oh my God.
Now
Yeah.
the walking through the middle of the street.
That was fucking terrifying. You guys, I swear to God, if I have ever been that scared, I was probably 6 years old and, it was a boogeyman situation because this was like a primal fear. I have never been so petrified with fear.
Well, the problem is, even if it's not some supernatural being after you, it's still some crazy, probably homeless dude in the middle of the night standing around in a windstorm, too nuts to know that he shouldn't be there.
In an intersection. If he had been on the sidewalk, I probably would have thought, well, this is weird, but maybe he's like me.
Yeah,
he's just
exactly.
checking out what's going on.
Yeah.
But standing in the middle of the intersection? That
Maybe
was
he was-
fucking creepy.
He was enjoying the freedom of standing in the road.
No red lights will stop me.
No cars coming down here. I
And
can
you
see
know,
them.
I'm squinting, so I see this little black dot in all this blackness, but I'm holding my flashlight, so he clearly sees there's somebody there
Yes.
and then starts walking towards them.
Maybe he wanted a nice, friendly chat.
That's what I was afraid of.
That's actually why I would have left. I'm like, I don't want to have a conversation. Fuck it. I'll go find a tree to stand underneath.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, we didn't even lose power. We just had like leaves thrown all over the place.
The best part was I did finally fall asleep, about a half hour before my alarm went off.
Mm.
And I wake up, the power's on and everything.
nice.
And
Yeah.
if not for the fact that I was wearing my clothes in my bed, I might have wondered if the whole thing had been a dream.
One of your
Wow.
new wild dreams. Yeah, one of the weirder things that used to moving up here from Idaho, where there's no trees really, except for ones people plant and stuff. So we had maybe 5 power outages in the 15 years I lived there or whatever.
Wow.
And here you usually have a power outage at least once a year, if not a couple times a year, from some limb falling on something. So it's
Yeah.
it was very weird when I first moved. It was like, power's out. Everybody else is like, happens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up on the island, which our infrastructure for power is not great. In fact, what happens is because we have a ton of trees, and just some guy in the 60s went around and stapled a bunch of power lines onto some poles. So when our power goes out, we're part of a co-op. So people we know get into trucks in the middle of the night and start driving around with a giant spotlight trying to figure out where it went down Meanwhile, nowadays, due to Facebook, people post, "Hey, it's over on my street,"
Oh,
and
nice.
they go and they find it, and it's very like duct tape and bootstrapping, and we always say a big thank you to them when they
Yeah.
get the power going again. But yeah, our power goes out all the time, and when I was a kid, it would be like weeks at a time.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't have to. We're in a modern world. Like maybe I don't have to make top ramen on the top of a wood stove for like 2 weeks running.
Wow. The only thing I really worry about when the power goes out is the aquarium.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You have to oxygenate it. Wait, oxygenate
Yes, I
it
do
with
have
your
to
like
oxygenate it.
with the little cup.
I get a couple of oxen and I drop them in there.
You could do that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey guys, I watched this movie that's been getting a lot of buzz, brand new, and it is called Psycho Goreman.
I do
Oh, yeah.
not know what this is.
Yeah, I watched that too. Knocked that off my list. to
Oh.
talk about.
Oh,
Well, what did you think about it, Eric?
If you loved the Power Rangers TV show in the 90s, the US version, maybe the Japanese one as well, you probably will really like this movie. I was not a huge fan of the Power Rangers style.
No, nor was I.
So I was actually really excited about this one. I love the image they released because I was thinking it was a 2020 release, which it did the festival things, but technically it's a 2021 release because it came out like on January 6th or something.
Right.
But there's this great image of the little girl looking kindly psychotic with the creature behind him. It's like, well, this looks like fun. And your response was fun watching it?
Well, there's one trope I hate in general in films, and that is the precocious child.
Oh my God.
And this movie is about the precocious child.
Sure.
You're being polite with that word, man. Jesus, she was obnoxious. And she was mean to everyone.
Ooh.
I think that was
it's
the
like,
joke. I mean, it's
God.
really it really works as a kid's film
Mhm.
that has a ton of gore in it.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun for that, but I think that as a kid, I might have been very, very annoyed by the kid, the lead.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Where was this available on? Is it like a Shudder thing?
it will be on Shudder
There's
shortly
this.
because it is a Shudder original, but
Oh,
they,
okay.
I guess, felt strong enough about it that they put it out as a rental.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
weird.
rented on Amazon, and then after I rented, it's like the Shutter logo goes up. Like, damn it! Oh well.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be there next month.
Yeah. It was the effect, just like his other film he did, the Lovecraftian kind of one.
Yeah.
All the effects are fun. The creatures are fun. It gives you a solid hint at the beginning of what you might be in store with their home planet being named Gygax.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
okay.
fun. That was fun.
And if the little kid had been about as awful as she was about half the movie, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But at some point, it felt like this kid kind of needs to evolve and change as a character.
Mm.
She really doesn't. Even in the end, she doesn't.
Not at all. No.
So it's like, boy, but it's getting good reviews, man. I mean, it's 90 something right now on Rotten, like 93 or something.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. I think that there is an audience for this.
Yes.
It is just not me.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, if you really loved Ultraman and Ultraman was better, but if you really loved like the real low rent version of Power Rangers, you'll probably really like it. There's a lot of the villains of Power Rangers, especially in this movie, with the way over top they acted and stuff.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, I checked out a film that I remember hearing about before COVID came out, and I think I saw some like trailer for it or something, and then it kind of disappeared for a while, and saw it pop back up again, which is Synchronic. Have you seen this yet, Eric?
No, I don't think
I'm
so.
about an hour into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like upset that you guys showed up on time
Oh, okay.
because I was digging it.
You're digging it.
Are you not digging it?
I really disliked it.
Wow. Okay.
I think there's some really good ideas in there. I'm not going to tell you obviously anything that happens, but the language of cinema is significantly lost. on the people who are making this film. They don't know when to be in a shot size of any specific range. They don't know when to be in a close-up or a medium shot or a wide shot. They have no idea that when you're in a high-stakes emotional moment, you should be in a close-up. Or when you want to tell people where you are, you should be in a wide shot. I was getting incredibly frustrated. And unfortunately, this is by the people who are going to be taking over Moon Knight. So that made me a little nervous.
Is this the first of their films you've seen? Because
No.
Okay, because they do know the language of cinema.
I would hope so, but like I can't tell from this movie.
Other movies are full of it. The first one they did, the super low budget one, where it's the two guys in a cabin, can't think of the name of, is full of that. I mean, they do really. So
I don't know what happened.
It might be they're they always say like go back to the old Picasso thing. You learn how to do it perfectly, and then you can mess with it.
Okay.
So maybe they're messing with it, and you're just not for it. You're not there for it. It's like they go, you know what? This should be a close-up. We're doing the opposite. This should be a wide angle. We're doing the opposite. It almost sounds like, you're like, nope, not for me.
It doesn't feel purposeful. It feels clumsy. And I think that's where I'm frustrated. I like the concept, and I think that they're extremely good at interesting freaking concepts, but True. I'm nervous. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. I really want to be wrong, but yeah.
You're not the first person to say that they didn't like this film. I have to say that I'm kind of loving it about an hour in. And I love because I was thinking to myself, wow, this looks so unusual. And I loved the shot decisions and stuff like that.
No, you didn't know.
I did. I was just like, oh, this is really interesting looking.
Well, because The Endless was full of that kind of stuff too. The Endless has really wild, strange.
It feels, but The Endless is feels way more like a film than this. I don't know.
You sound like me talking about The Lodge, where it's like, oh, wow, here we're doing a sighting. If The Lodge was the other way around, you could absolutely see the director. Oh, look at this.
I know.
The crowd's going to love this.
Right, exactly. I would say, to me, you know how Wonder Woman 1984 felt like people had no clue, like it went off the rails, and you're like, I don't know who directed this action sequence, but it's bad. I don't know why we're in her village again. What lesson did I learn? Who knows? I don't know how this is applicable to the rest of the film. Really confused. Does she do anything through the entire film? Hard to say.
I'm looking forward to watching this one now, partially because The Endless, Spring, and Resolution. I think they're all fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen Resolution. I am willing to say maybe they're experimenting, but it felt like a hot mess to me. And Kelly, I hope that you do enjoy the whole thing. I'm looking forward to you getting through the final bit, and I can't wait to hear what you think through the entire experience, not just the first hour, because there's more.
Well, like I always say, I actually love it when I hear people say, oh, I loved this movie, and then somebody else say, I fucking hated it. What do you think? Because that tells me that it's art now. We're discussing it, and it's hitting people differently.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some real, I mean, that opening scene is unbelievably good. Yeah. Unbelievably good. That is some of the best, conceptual, introducing supernatural elements I've seen in a long time. But then it's the main plot. I want it. Yeah. I have so many more questions than I have answers. And it's not questions about the supernatural stuff. It's what is this guy's job? Why, who's his friend, and why are they did this together, but they didn't do this, and they're in this. Anyway, sorry. I will let you get there.
Yeah, well, the best part is an hour into it, I was thinking to myself, can't wait to see what they do with Moon Knight now.
Oh my God. I was just gritting my teeth going, no, it has to be better. It has to be better. So much depends on them not being awful. So, it really felt to me like this is somebody who made their first feature about 2 years out of film school. Wow. It felt like that's what it felt like as far as just the cinema language was going, and maybe the script. Anyway.
The acting. Well, okay, I'll go with one that I think was the surprise for me of the new year so far. Kelly's recommendation of Harley Quinn
Oh,
on
Right.
HBO.
Yeah.
so much fun.
Oh my God. Like if you're not sure if you want to watch a cartoon about Harley, pop on the first, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes at most
Oh my God.
of this. And if you don't realize you're watching something very, very different than you would usually see on a Saturday morning, it's so good.
I have to say, everybody kept telling me to watch it, and I was of that mindset.
Mhm.
I was like, I don't like this character, so I don't think I'm going to like a cartoon about this character. And then I binged both seasons, could not stop watching it.
It's been super. It's funny because off of your recommendation, just like Eric, I jumped on and I only got through the first 3 episodes, but like back to back because I was so excited about it.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, after 10 minutes, it does start to feel initially like, oh yeah, like Saturday morning cartoon fare. Like this totally feels like it rhythmically and the way they're presenting things, and it feels like
Well, it's sitcom
Gargoyles
writers,
or-
so, yeah.
and then all of a sudden it shifts gears so quickly, and you're like, okay, cool. All right. And then to the point where I was like, is this going to be too much? Like, I hope they come back a little bit because I want to like do something other than watch like gore and swearing. But no, it's so good. It is so good.
I have to say, James Gunn has his Suicide Squad movie
Mhm.
coming out, and King Shark is in it. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't think you're going to be able to beat the King Shark in the Harley Quinn cartoon.
It's so good.
I like that they chose to make the Bane the Chris Nolan Bane. That was really good.
And everybody makes fun of him all the time.
All the time. Oh my God. He's such a great, I want to say gentle soul. I don't know if that's the right word, but
I also like that his catchphrase is, well, I will blow this up then. If it doesn't work out in his favor, he's going to explode it.
Mhm. Yes. And they do a wonderful balance of, Poison Ivy's actually, that's really freaking powerful what she can do. And they up on that. And Harley Quinn came out in that period when I was just in the 90s and stuff, when I really wasn't reading a lot of comics.
Mhm.
So I completely missed her. I didn't see the Suicide Squad movie. I didn't see Harley Quinn film. So this is really the first deep dive I've had into her as a character. And I think it's going to be rough to find anything else after this one.
did you read White Knight yet?
Is that the one where the Joker is?
Scott Snyder, yeah.
yeah,
The
that one's
Jokers.
that one's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one because it does address the modern Harley Quinn, but it does the opposite where it's like this fucking chick, like with their big fucking hammer and whatever, like, and they address like the negative aspects of her
Right.
character, which I thought was really fascinating. So it's really fun to watch somebody like enjoy the positive aspects.
Mhm.
But the Harley movie that came out I don't know, was it last year?
Last year, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
I don't. Time moves so strangely.
I think it's last year.
You're talking about the Birds of Prey
Birds
film?
of Prey.
Mhm.
That was I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a pretty fun film. So
I did not enjoy it, and that's why I wasn't looking forward to this
sure,
cartoon.
absolutely.
but
well, it's
yeah, I
better
don't
than
think-
Suicide Squad.
It was, for sure.
Maybe that's because my bar was so low.
The advantage of not being a huge DC fan.
Oh, it's so true.
People say that DC movie's all right. So yeah, I'll watch something else then.
Well, and Harley popped up. Her origin was in the Batman animated series that Bruce Timm did. And that show is unassailable
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. That thing is perfect. So, and I always liked her Harlequin outfit and all that. So that, when they sexed her up and everything for the boys, I was always like, I don't feel like this character needed that.
Right.
But in this cartoon, it certainly works.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I started watching WandaVision.
Yeah.
I have not.
Same.
Largely
What?
because the reaction I've seen has been so incredibly generic. And I watched all of Harley Quinn in the last week and a half.
Sure.
So I was watching that. And so it's not that I don't want to watch it. I just haven't
Eric,
watched it yet.
you have to watch.
You are the
this.
first positive reaction I've heard. Well, that's not true. I've heard a couple positive, but most of them are like, well, it's not as good as I was hoping, but it's still pretty good. And a lot of, wow, this is really dumb.
Well, it's dumb if you look at it at face value.
Okay.
If you're like, oh, like it's a 50s sitcom. Oh, it's a whatever sitcom, as things evolve. But things are not, consistently that something is wrong. And picking those pieces out, I find very, very interesting. But Kelly, I would love to know what you thought.
I'm kind of meh on it, to be
Really?
honest. Episode 3 has come out now, and stuff is finally happening.
Yeah.
And so I'm more interested.
Okay.
But the first episode, I was thinking to myself, oh no, they've made this so much like a sitcom from the 50s that I'm getting exactly the same pleasure out of it if I was watching an episode of My Three Sons or something like
I think
that.
that's something I liked about it. I was like, not because I actually hate sitcoms, like deeply for the most part, hate sitcoms, but they did such a good job of replicating that feel in an era where like it's almost hard to remember what that was like and how to do it, that I was really impressed. And then you get these, like every single commercial has some hint as to what the fuck is going on, at least somewhere in it. So I don't know, there's a lot of little weird, deep, interesting moments. It's only 25 minutes long, or 23.
I wonder, you're significantly younger. And I wonder if younger kids are enjoying this more because it seems a little unusual because it's so close to a 50s sitcom and a 60s and a 70s.
Right.
Whereas somebody like me who actually had to sit through that shit because we only had 3 channels and we watched whatever was on fucking TV. If it was reruns of Bewitched, that's what you got. And this is so much like that to me, to something I lived through, that it's not a good nostalgic feeling. It's I was bored of this when it was new.
Right. And I mean, I lucked out because the things that I grew up with as far as that caliber were like Gilligan's Island and Brady Bunch. Saw a lot of those two things on some kind of forced, this is all that's on TV right now kind of situation. So I never really grew up with anything older or even in black and white. Like that just wasn't part of the caliber. So it is kind of fascinating to me. That's true. But I know it's because I know it's temporary. I can put up with a lot.
Yeah, I'm very eager to see how it will go on now that something major has happened.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I don't like that actress.
Oh, sure.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Okay.
And I was a little surprised to find out that was Mary-Kate and Ashley's older sister.
You only just found out?
I only just found out.
Oh my God.
It started making sense to me why I disliked her.
Oh, sure.
Because I dislike them as well.
Yeah.
But she's actually acting.
She acts very well in a 50s sitcom style, which seems like bad acting to me.
She was very frustrating to watch in the Avengers films and Age of Ultron because I'd seen her in that indie film, that like kind of indie culty semi-horror film, which is Mary something something something. It has like 4 female names in a row, and it's creepy and good, and she is unbelievably awesome in it. So I kind of had high expectations. So when I saw her, I felt like she was super underutilized or poorly directed.
Mary-Kate and Ashley Halloween?
No. No. Oh my God. There are people listening who know what I'm talking about, and they agree with me. Oh man. But no, she has some chops. So watching her be underutilized, I was incredibly frustrated by it. So I was like, oh my gosh, she gets to act, even if it's outside of what I understood that character to really be like. I was just enjoying the fact that she got to like have a range. And Paul Bettany, who doesn't love Paul Bettany?
I love Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
And I really love the characters from the comics.
Right.
And it does feel to me like they are pushing towards a particular storyline. If you guys are familiar with the House of M storyline.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I'm going to get that comic.
I think that's kind of where they're going with this. And I'm like, okay, if this turns out to be like maybe a prequel to the Doctor Strange movie and he has to set things right after she has changed the world, then I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it.
I suspect from, again, the little hints and things that have happened throughout, that House of M is probably within the scope.
What I like a lot about the idea, whether it's good or not, the idea that there's a Marvel show Marvel produced, Marvel created, that is not, hey, here's our superheroes going out and kicking ass. It is something different. It is, because that's what happened to strongly in the 80s and then moving like the Dark Knight and some of the Watchmen and stuff where comic books went from kind of generic beat up things to really freaking deep storylines. And now the Marvel movies have opened the door for enough of it that you can go really weird and maybe have, some big success. So it's whether I end up liking it or not, I think it's cool that something like that is out there.
Yeah, and I really like that they put all their chips in. They took, 2 big characters. They didn't go for some side character. They didn't go for some unknown thing, some side property that was safe to do. They went ahead and took like 2 main characters from their series and stuck them in like a show or even maybe a mini series together and like actually produced several episodes rather, breaking formula is incredibly risky. And I like that Disney's willing to take these kinds of risks.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where things go. I'm happy to be the Outlander on this one.
The Outlander.
The outsider.
Well, we'll come back in a couple of weeks and I'll have loved Synchronic and hated WandaVision, and you'll be exactly the opposite.
I know.
That's what makes this big, beautiful world.
There you go.
Democracy in action.
And we'll say which side I land on each one.
Okay, well, I also got to check out another really fun piece that I was really excited about because I'd heard a review like a month ago about this. It came out in the UK already. And I was like, where is this film? I want to see this film. Another disaster movie called Skyfire.
You find them all.
I haven't even heard of this one.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, so I'm going to blow your minds. All right.
Oh, boy.
Bring it on.
Imagine there is a inactive but previously active volcano. Now imagine a super billionaire, egocentric guy builds a resort on that mountainous volcanic thing that definitely is not going to go off for another 100 years at least. And then rich people go and hang out on it. And then it explodes.
What? Who could have seen this coming?
I mean, like everyone knows what's going to happen, but that just makes it so much better. It's actually a really good, it's a nice little disaster film.
What's the, I'm blanking on the name, the Morgan one where Morgan Freeman was the president?
Oh, that one's
came out about the same time as
Angel,
Armageddon or something.
It's
Or
not
Volcano.
London Has Fallen. Or
No, the Volcano movie.
Oh,
where they're all living on
Volcano?
Those either Volcano or Dante's Peak.
Dante's
right?
Peak.
Oh, Dante's Peak. Sure. Yeah.
Is it? Because that's
Dante's
your description
Peak is
sounds kind of like
gold.
Dante's Peak.
It's like Dante's Peak meets Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Peak.
I don't know what to do with that.
I mean, it's got a lot of that, like, I don't care about the danger. I'm going to make this amazing park. And there's people there. Like, like there's real danger. It's not dinosaurs, but it is something of that caliber. And then on the same angle, you also have these like volcanologists who are like studying things and
studying Spock.
Getting all that kind of...
Thank you for just moving right back to that stupid statement.
Considering it's a Japanese production, or sorry, Chinese production. Jeez, I apologize. A Chinese production, which has like 8 million Chinese production labels that come up before the start of the film. It is really pretty good and fun. I suggest watching it in Chinese. Please do not watch it in dubbed. It's real rough and dubbed. I had to stop the film and go, nope, rewind. There's some bad acting in there. I'll happily say that, but it's freaking fun. Anything you're like, that's going to come into play later. It does.
While you were talking, I looked it up and looked at the poster. It looks like the poster was produced in, 97.
It's so good.
So which would fit right into the,
So no English actors then. They didn't bring Hollywood.
Jason Isaacs is the bad guy.
Is the bad guy. Okay.
Yeah. So he's the only, I think he's the only white person. But that and like, no, I think he's the only white person in it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you love it, and that's good enough for me. I will not watch this.
Oh my God. Hey, we agreed on previous disaster films. So maybe that's maybe that's somewhere where we can come together
That's
in
true.
a sort of Thanksgiving-like setting.
Detente. Let's see. Oh, another one I've got. I'm still pulling out from the 2020s that I watched.
Oh my God. You really went for it.
Yeah, the one called The Owners.
Huh.
It stars.
I saw the poster.
Okay. It stars the what's her name? Stark, the youngest Stark girl, is
Right.
the lead in
Macy.
yeah,
something.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the cast is really good. It's not original, but it's fun in that it is sort of a the one, what was that movie? I don't remember if it's Lights Out or no, Don't Breathe, where they break into the blind guy's house and he kicks the shit out of him for a while. It's sort of a version of that, but a little more surrealist because the older woman of the house is very bizarre, and they do some weird things like fog the house, and they're trying to work through there. But it starts off really, really well, and the suspense is really, really good. And then when it goes strange, it gets a little too strange because it's so solid and so straightforward from the beginning. You're like, okay, this looks like a good invade the house, but you invaded the wrong house kind of movie. It kind of doesn't work, which is unfortunate because it was really good for the first part. It's not bad to watch. I mean, it didn't even make my mentions of the year. I wasn't upset. I watched it. It's good. It's just not. It just started off so good that you're like, oh man, okay. So if you think the beginning's a little stilted and too, oh, I've seen this all before, keep watching. You'll probably like it more than I did.
Well, all right. I saw the poster for it, and the poster looked so derivative of every other kind of poster that I thought, well, I'm going to pass on this.
Yeah. Yep. This is true. Yeah, it had the 2020 underneath it, so I was like, click.
I found it really frustrating though, because every time I'd go for a 2020 film, it would turn out to either be 2019 or not released yet. It'd be like, oh, everyone loves this movie. I cannot get a hold of at all.
Yeah. There was a lot of those, especially the other side where it's like, oh, this looks great. Oh, it actually comes out in 2021.
Yeah.
It's just on its festival run now.
Exactly. Or
what festivals? Maybe I can see them online, but no, it was December. So those are all done too.
Well, and dirty little secret here. Whenever I see something is doing a festival run, I always reach out to Eric and I'm like, can you ask these guys to send you a screener for possible inclusion in the film festival so I can watch it?
I have done that.
Such a good tactic.
And it has worked.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And some really good shit too.
Yeah.
But then the other side of the coin, there's ones like, I can't believe that was submitted and you didn't play it. I'm going, I'm fine with that. That Grizzly sequel that's coming out with George Clooney and whoever else is in there was submitted to Crypticon last year. Oh, man. And, I now appreciate the bad movie.
Right.
Jesus, this is just, whoa. But you could have played it. Look at all the press it's getting. Yeah, it's nice. And then everybody go, wow, this little Crypticon film festival I've never heard of plays stuff like this. I'm okay.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. I mean, it's such a different viewpoint to be in charge of a film festival, especially when you're maintaining like a certain quality. I don't know.
Yeah, but usually the one Skelly throws like, oh, well, I end up getting played. So it works great.
Well, that's because they've been played at Fantastic
400,
Fest and
yeah.
shit like that.
Sure.
So, you're getting something quality.
Yeah.
All right, guys, should we take a little break and then come back and talk about Destination Horror?
Sounds good.
The wait is over. It's located in Pigeon Forge and is definitely the rowdiest good time in the Smoky Mountains. The Lumberjack Feud Dinner Show is now open with 2 shows daily. ESPN athletes compete in this epic story of mountain survival. Draft horses, comedians, high-diving timber dogs, and lumberjills will thrill the whole family. So get your plaid on and head on over to the Great Smoky Mountain Lumberjack Feud.
At the Great Smoky Mountain Lumberjack Feud.
Ooh.
The thought behind this topic, you guys, was there are so many films where people are going off on vacation or going off to camp or something, and then something horrible happens. And it's always been my worst fear whenever I was going on vacation. If I was going to Disneyland or something, I was like, I sure hope something bad doesn't happen on this
Oh
good
my
trip.
gosh.
Did I tell you I have anxiety?
Jesus.
This is how my mind works.
Wow. That is something I have never experienced.
Well, I bet you put your head on your pillow and you fall right asleep at night then. That must be nice.
Well, I lay on my stomach and then I fall asleep like a lizard on a hot rock.
Bad for your back.
I know.
With that in mind, you guys, I used this topic to finally hunt down a movie I've been dying to see for years, and it is called Who Can Kill a Child?
Sorry, I just got this mental image for laying on a rock like a little.
If I could, I'd do it. They're warm. Ugh, sun-baked rock.
Anyway, so
Anyway,
Who Can Kill a
Kelly.
Child, huh?
Take two.
What movie do you have, Kelly?
I chose from 1976, Who Can Kill a Child?
Lovely, lovely title.
Could find no budget or box office information and no Rotten Tomatoes critics, but the audience has it at 79% for this
Damn.
1976 horror film that you've never heard of.
Oh, no, I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
If it's the one I think it is. Describe and we will. Oh.
It was written and directed by Narciso Ibanez Serrador, who wrote and directed The House That Screamed and about 70 other credits, not including the 25 credits he has as an actor.
Whoa.
And he just passed in 2019. And it is also based on the novel by Juan Jose Plans. It stars Louis Fiander, who's in Dr. Phibes Rises Again, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde,
Nice.
and 67 other credits. And Prunella Ransome, who has 32 credits, mostly British television, and she passed away in 2002 at a very young age. So you've seen this, Eric. You have not
Pretty
seen this,
sure I
Vanessa,
have.
but I think this is
No.
kind of your kind of movie.
Really?
Yeah. It starts with a montage of like documentary footage that shows the effects of war on children. And it's all real footage of like kids in World War II that have been taken out of the camps and stuff like this. And it is some harrowing shit. And then it's almost like Mondo Cane footage and shit like that. And when it started, I was like, "What? Did I get the wrong movie somehow?" Because I had to hunt this down, and I was only able to find it under its Italian title.
Huh.
And then I was worried because it starts with the Mondo Cane footage has English, and then it starts with Italian language, and then English subtitles. But then we find ourselves with Tom and Evelyn, who are the protagonists of this film, and they are English and they speak in English. And and then once that goes away, or once the Italian stuff goes away, the subtitles go away too. So Every time you hear somebody speaking something other than English, it is no subtitles. You are put in the position of the two main actors
That's
who can't
interesting.
understand what's going on.
So you
Wow.
think it's an intentional choice?
I'm sure it was
Oh, that's
intentional.
awesome.
Yes,
cool.
because this is a fucking creepy movie. These two are taking a vacation before the birth of their third child. And after a night of partying on this really cool vacation island, I can't tell exactly where they're supposed to be, but there's fireworks at night and they're wandering around through a parade and all this stuff. And, you know, and they're canoodling and kissing. You're like, oh, this is nice. These people love each other. And they decide the next day they're going to take a little boat that they got and go off to this little deserted island they'd heard of. Not a deserted island, but a little like local village place. It's not a touristy type thing.
Mhm.
So they get there and they pull the boat up to the dock. And there are a couple of kids kind of sitting there on the dock who look very sullen and angry. They don't say anything. And they wander into town. And there is this cute little village there, but it seems to be deserted. Every once in a while, they see a kid like looking out a window at them or something like that. But otherwise, they can't get anybody to come. Like when they ring a bell for a hotel, they can't get anyone to come for that. They make a trip down to the main part of the downtown area and they go into a restaurant and nobody's there. So it's very, very odd. Finally, he goes off and leaves his wife in the restaurant. He's kind of looking around just to see if there's anybody there. And this little girl walks into the restaurant and she seems fascinated because Evelyn has, you know, a very slight baby bump and the girl is latched onto this and she's like, oh, and she's touching her stomach and everything like that. And she smiles and then she goes and runs off. They follow her and they find her and a group of other kids beating to death an old man that they have strung up like a piñata.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
I suddenly know exactly why you like this film.
and when they see that and they're horrified and there's just too many kids that they could like go and kick one or something. So they go running off. But now, of course, the bodies start appearing and every place they look, they find a dead body. So they're trying to escape, but the kids are kind of herding them towards this area and they end up barricading themselves in this hotel room while the kids are outside pounding on the door and pounding on the windows and all this stuff. And it gets really weird in that there's one boy who's kind of crawling through the window of their hotel room and he's got a gun.
Yeah.
But Tom also has a gun and he shoots the kid,
Ah.
which is like amazing when that happened. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I guess
And-
Tom can kill a child.
And they kind of break down because they're both just like horrified at what he's done, but they realize, oh, this is a matter of life and death. But don't worry, things are about to get much, much worse because they are trapped in this room, right? And Evelyn starts having these pains from inside because her baby has also gotten the urge to kill, and it is
Whoa.
destroying her from the inside.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Whoa.
And you kind of realize, oh, something is going on. That girl was able to infect the other kid by touching her stomach. And it's just a weird, creepy fucking movie. So he's now left in this room with his dead wife. And the kids pounding on the door and everything. He's got this gun, and it's a big rifle, like a machine gun type of thing, you know. And he's just like, all right, fuck it. So he kicks down the door, runs through, gets outside, but there's just all these kids waiting for him. He just mows them down with the machine gun.
Sure.
And then he jumps in a Jeep and starts taking off while all these kids are running after him. He's running over kids and shit. I was just like,
Oh my
what
God.
the fuck? This movie is insane.
Jesus.
He finally makes it to the dock. And I'll leave that for you guys to figure out. There's a nice twist ending coming up.
Yeah.
And it's probably not anything that you wouldn't see coming now, but I imagine in 1976 it was a little shocking. And I just had just had a blast with this movie. I was so glad I was able to find it. I know I was reaching out to you, Eric, to see if you had it. And
it sounds like one I should have. But yes, I have seen that one. That's the one I was thinking of. It was a long time ago, so I'd kind of forgotten the subtitle thing and stuff. But
Right.
yeah, that's an interesting film.
yeah, well, so
Wow.
remember all that footage at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's kind of implied that the long list of atrocities and horrors that have been brought upon children because of wars that adults have done and all that stuff, that's caused these kids to finally like evolve into something that can take matters into their own hands.
Huh.
Because the ending is one of those, now go forth. There are lots of other children who would like to play and stuff like
Oh,
that, you know.
Jesus.
A little bit of trivia on this. The director originally wanted Anthony Hopkins to play the part of Tom. This was in 1976.
Really?
So that would have been a pretty young Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
And I think that would have worked just
Yeah.
fine with me. The script was written in 4 days.
Wow.
Now, even taking into account that he had a book to go off of, 4 days is a lot to
Yeah.
write.
Yeah. Wow.
And the book that it is based on is El Juego de los Niños, The Child's Game, written by Juan Jose Plans. Differences with the novel include that in the book, children become murderers after touching a strange yellow pollen.
Hmm.
That
Ah.
there's no explanation given for why this happens, but that is not why. And then Juan Jose Plans himself wrote and directed a radio adaptation of his novel, released in 6 episodes in 1999. There's also a Mexican film called, I think, Los Niños, that is credited to him as story idea. So based on his book, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
So love this movie and so glad I got to see it finally.
Wow. It's, it feels like it's a rarity, or it's still so taboo to just straight up destroy a child on
I mean,
screen.
who can kill a child?
Exactly. It's right there in the title.
Let me show you.
The concept of literally just going through them like there's no tomorrow is, especially in that era, is pretty surprising to me.
I thought so too. I remember right about this time was the drive-in movie The Children, where the
right.
kids
Yeah.
have the black fingernails and burn everybody they touch. And I always loved that one too. There was just something about something in the air. Parents
Yeah.
hated their kids in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. A little more honest in how you feel about your kids. You don't want to gram the fact that you think your kids are raging psychotic pain in the ass.
What message were you trying to give when you had the kids burning you when they hugged you? No message. I actually feel like they're burning me when they hug me.
Got the 4th on the way. So I have to grab my glasses. I just realized I can't read. Hold on.
Oh, wow. Super powerful glasses let you read.
As in any standard level of glasses at all.
Oh, thank you.
Slowly overtaking your area.
Oh.
No.
Kirk down.
Kirk down. Oh my God.
Hey, take your time.
You know what? Now that I can see, if it's not one thing, it's another. So for my film, I made a big old list of potential options out there, and I realized that there was a Kurt Russell film that I could check out and knock off my list, and got very excited about it. Wasn't sure if it was going to be any good, but yeah, this film is called Breakdown.
This is crazy. Look at this. If you win this mail-in contest, you can choose between $90,000 or 90,000 donuts.
A leisurely cross-country trip.
The hell?
What did you do?
Hang on, I can't steer.
An unexpected breakdown.
Can you believe this?
A helpful passerby.
Folks all right?
Our car broke down.
I can give you a ride to Bell's, a little diner about 5 miles down the road. They got a payphone. You call a tow truck. They just come in and haul you out.
It could happen to anyone.
Excuse me. I was supposed to meet my wife here. She's dark-haired, about 5'5". Doesn't ring a bell. Listen, I'm looking for my wife.
Look, I don't know how to tell you this, but I've never seen you before in my life.
Has an unbelievable story.
It was him. It was this truck.
The police are doubtful.
I searched the truck. No sign of a struggle.
The locals are suspicious.
You know, there's over 100,000 people go missing in this country every year, all vanishing without a trace.
But he's not worried about the ones who think he's crazy.
My wife did not leave me.
He's worried about the ones who know he's telling the truth.
You the fella looking for his wife?
I saw what happened.
We're gonna be watching you.
When do I see my wife?
Soon enough, Jeff should start walking.
Get down on the ground!
Oh, he's just one's in on it.
What do you want?
Kurt Russell.
You better pray she's alive.
Breakdown.
Where is she?
It's from 1997.
Nice.
Have you guys both seen
I
this?
saw it in the theater.
Wow.
I don't think I've seen this one.
Really? Okay. It's it's a very by the numbers 90s action film.
Sure.
It's got a lot of that kind of it feels like it's almost like made for TV, but with a way bigger budget just because it's so like on the nose and just dramatic. But we'll get there. Rotten Tomatoes has 81% for critics and 67% for audience. The budget for this movie was $36 million and it brought in 50.2. So, like a good little success. Not like a blowaway success, but, it made its money and then some. The director is also the writer, Jonathan Mostow. He's done some kind of interesting films. It's very eclectic. So he did Fright Show, which I've not seen. Beverly Hills Body Snatchers. U-571.
Oh, yeah. The submarine movie.
Yeah. Terminator 3. He was originally meant to direct The Game, and he had cast Kyle MacLachlan and Bridget Fonda in it, but ended up executive producing it instead.
Is that the Fincher film?
It is the David Fincher film. He also, this dude is crazy, man. He co-wrote a comic book series called The Megas for Virgin Comics, and then directed Surrogates, which is based on a comic series starring Bruce Willis. So I don't know what to make of this dude. I don't know. Anyway, that's that guy. Starring, you really have three. There's a number of actors in this, but really three main people we'd care about. Kurt Russell, who plays our leading man, the good husband, the driver of the car who drives a little too fast. Jeff Taylor. You may remember Kurt from such greats as It Happened at the World's Fair.
Oh,
and
wow.
Follow Me Boys, another Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
Horse in a Gray Flannel Suit, and Computer Wore Tennis Shoes.
There you go.
He was also a minor league baseball player. He was second baseman for the California Angels. So there you go.
I don't think I knew that.
I did not either.
His dad was like a big baseball guy, and there's some documentary that goes into that, which I'll get to later. Or no, I won't. I will never talk about it again. Anyway, just know that it exists. I think it's on Netflix. The thing I actually know Kurt Russell from, I grew up with him watching Bird on a Wire and Overboard, because my mom was obsessed with certain films that we had on VHS. I watched those movies a lot.
Overboard got a lot of play in Suncoast.
Did it really?
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
It was a fun film. It has a little place in my heart.
Does not age well into the modern world with the way they did the remake for it.
Oh my God, the remake is real rough. Actually, the only thing I laughed at was a joke that they'd used in the first one. Bird on a Wire, I have very vague memories of, but enjoyed. Anyway, his wife is played by Kathleen Quinlan. She plays Amy Taylor. She's been in a number of things, including American Graffiti, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden, which she was nominated for Best Actress, Golden Globe, Apollo 13, opposite Tom Hanks, and the remake of Hills Have Eyes. which was also in Independence Day, but not that one. Some like 1988 film called Independence Day. I was like, oh, all right, that's interesting. And more recently, she's been in a couple of episodes of Marvel's Runaways. That being said, I could not pick her out of a line to save my life. I could not put money and be like, that woman is that woman. She's just super, super generic to me. And yeah, you don't necessarily see a ton of her face in this film. However, somebody you do see a lot of in this film is J.T. Walsh, who plays
Nice.
Warren Red Barr. He's incredible. You might remember him from Good Morning Vietnam. He was in an episode of X-Files called The List as an Evil Warden. He's been in Outbreak, A Few Good Men. He was an uncredited state trooper in Misery, which I thought was interesting, and Sling Blade. He's actually passed away. He died in 1998. This was the last film he was alive for.
Oh, wow.
1998. To actually see in the theater. 3 films of his came out posthumously. He was a heavy smoker and died of a heart attack, but he was 54.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yup. This film is, it is like a heart attack in plastic. I mean, it's like,
Huh?
just.
I thought you were going to say a heart attack on wheels or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was trying to think of like, I guess I didn't watch it on DVD. A heart attack in a streaming format. I don't know. It was extremely stressful. The plot is a husband and wife are on a cross-country drive from Massachusetts to LA for a job. They're a married couple. They talk a lot about how they have no money. Basically, they're driving this really nice car, but they kind of gave up everything for this move. And so they're not really wealthy, even though the car is really nice, quote unquote. It's a Jeep Cherokee. This car is heavily featured. I would not be surprised if Jeep didn't throw some cash at this.
Probably.
Because seriously, this Jeep is like a hero. It is definitely like the 4th star of this film. So although I will say this is weird, they experience car trouble. So considering this Jeep does so well, it's interesting that they started off in this direction. Have some car trouble after getting gas, and then they're kind of harassed by this weird black pickup truck. They're out in the middle of the desert, out in New Mexico, just driving along. So they're really, really nowhere near like a big town or anything. So it's really creepy that there's this odd big black pickup truck that just keeps harassing them. However, they're sort of saved. They're on the side of the road, and this pickup truck is at the top of a hill looking like it's going to run them down. They're saved when a big semi-truck comes up behind them, and a guy hops out and offers to help them out. The guy who is Red Barr is his name. He offers to give Amy and also whoever Kurt Russell's character is actually called in this film. Who cares? Jeff Taylor. Kurt offers to give Kurt a ride to a nearby cafe. It's about 5 miles down the road, or diner, I should say. Kurt's like, no. He's very prideful, very like man's man. He's like, no, I can figure out this car. It's fine. And Amy's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and go because this is stupid and you're stupid. And this guy is like extremely nice, and he is extremely nice. He's like super charismatic, really personable, like a very next door neighbor kind of dude that you wouldn't mind like borrowing sugar from. He's just cool guy. So she hops in his truck and goes down the road, and time passes, and Kurt starts to look under the car and realizes that some wires were just pulled out. He's like, that's weird. Puts them back in. Car immediately starts. So drives off to the diner to try and catch up with his wife. And lo and behold, she's not there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. No one is claiming to have seen her, but it's hard to tell because like it's definitely trying to give you that creepy backwater town kind of feel where it's like these people might be like full of crap or like evil in some way or just assholes, and you're not really sure which it is. He's trying to figure out what happened to her, and he ends up getting back on the road and seeing the semi-truck. So he just drives super, super pedal to the metal, catches up with the truck, runs it off the road. And he's like, where is my wife? And the guy is like, I have never seen you before, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. And plays just beautifully this horrible gaslighting scene of, I don't know, to the point where I was like, is it the same guy? Like, he's pretty much, I think he's just not wearing a hat or wearing a different hat. And that's it. It's the same truck, same guy, same everything. But he's just so convincingly like, dude, I'm sorry. I've never seen you before. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you sure? I mean, I'll help you if I can, but I don't know. And then a cop pulls over and Kurt is looking more and more crazy. Like, he's got my wife in his truck. And the guy's like, look, man, you can search my truck. Please go, feel free. And he's so open that you're like, what is happening? So of course, cop ends up letting the truck driver go. Kurt goes back to the station to try and start an investigation, but of course no one's going to even start to look for this girl until 24 hours have passed. So thus he begins this kind of insane adventure of trying to find his wife. And the film really shifts gears at some point where maybe about a third of the way in or half of the way in, it goes from this sort of slow, creepy thriller to just nonstop, insane fucking action. And it's around the time that Kurt Russell starts to be pursued by that black truck again. And he just like runs his Jeep off of a fucking mountain. Like, he's just, you see the edge of this hill and he's just like, all right, I'm going. I was like, what are you doing? And he throws his Jeep into a river, like a raging river. And like the Jeep is just like sinking and sinking. You're like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening right now? And it's just so much stress and tension and craziness. And I'm not going to say that it's bad, but there's a thing that happens in modern action films now where you get a comedic release and moments to breathe. You are not going to get this in this movie. It is just so intense. But I definitely recommend it. I will say you don't see a lot of Amy in this film. It's very much the Kurt show, which I love. He's extremely good in it. The guy who plays the truck driver is extremely good. It really is like the definitive 90s action nonsense film. The action scenes, they go for it. They don't hold back. Like, you think like they're not gonna, oh my God, they did. There's no way oh my God, they did that. Okay, cool. And there is a final standoff. I'm not gonna say what happens, but it is worth the admission ticket rental price alone, which by the way, it's like free on Amazon right now. So that's nothing. The things that I'm not thrilled
It's worth nothing. What?
but it's good though. But I mean, if I had to spend like, $9.99 on it, I would. I don't know if I'd spend $12. It depends how much I needed a film.
We should probably spend maybe 20 minutes discussing whether you'd spend $12 on it, though.
Hush you. So the things I don't like about this film, the wife is barely in it. So it's not really a femme film by any means.
It's a sausage fest.
Real sausage fest. Fun, fast cars though, so that's good.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no breathers. That's a little rough. So the breakneck pace from like the slow start is a little strange. Kurt Russell's blue eyes are incredibly distracting in this film, to the point where I was like, they gotta like power this down a little. This is some fucking intense ass blue eyes, man. I don't know if I can take it.
Just a little too dreamy.
He really was a little too dreamy. I have to say.
Got that 90s glam up kind of thing, like George Clooney in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Right.
You're like, Jesus.
Not a lot of super crazy trivia for this film. I will say there's a fun moment though, where at one point the bad guy says, "You have exactly 49 minutes to do blank, Jeff. You better get your show on the road." It is actually 49 minutes until the end of the movie, which is kind of neat.
Wow.
The writer and director Jonathan Mostow got the idea for the film when driving through Las Vegas with his wife. I'm like, what? What was
I
he
sure
thinking
wish
about?
somebody would steal my wife.
Right? I sure wish some kind of underground network of like small town debauchery would steal my wife from me.
That or the wife's like, so what would you do if I got kidnapped right now from this diner?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so honey, what do you think about, let's say some guy like just whisks you off and you're like stuck in like a bag or something. What would that be like for you? Just out of curiosity. What is up with this dude? Other people considered for the lead aside from Kurt Russell. See, they're into it.
They're yelling
They're
at something.
yelling at each other.
They're arguing over some kind of rooftop possession. Oh.
Okay, that's enough.
I'm waiting for snaps and like a knife to come out. So Kurt Russell, the lead was also considered potentially to be played by Dennis Quaid, Bruce Willis, Ed Harris, Mel Gibson, and Richard Gere. I think Kurt Russell does a great job, but I don't think it's a super deep role. So I think any number of people probably could have jumped into it. Yeah. Fun fact, there's a scene where a little kid is playing a video game. That game is Doom. However, the soundtracks and sound effect for it is not from Doom. There you go.
Man.
I thought you were going to say that. And that kid was.
Jesus Christ.
And this film is lightly based off of The Hitcher from 1986. So there you go.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
I couldn't see that. When you were talking about it, I got it. You're done. And he went to the diner, and my first thought was, "Oh yeah," and he finds a finger in the. Oh no, that was The Hitcher.
Now I want to see The Hitcher.
Oh, Hitcher's good. It's so good, man. Rutger Hauer at his almost nastiest. I mean, he is just awesome. Mm. And it also has a few moments you're going, "Did they really? Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Anyway, so you both had a much better time watching your movie than I did.
Oh,
now this isn't bad. Okay. But anyways, 2008's Plague Town.
Remember, Americans, you're in a foreign land and representing your country, so you need to act with dignity and respect.
You could see us settling down in a country cottage here.
The last bus is in about 5 minutes.
Might as well start walking. There's nothing here.
You're lost, are you?
Not lost exactly.
You'll be better off with me.
I think we'll take our chances.
I don't know about this.
Weird.
What's weird?
A French car with a roof full of luggage parked in the middle of nowhere.
I saw something!
There's someone out there.
I don't like this. Let's hope someone's home.
Hello?
You'd better come with me, sweetheart. I'd hate to see you go to waste.
You can't stay here, young C.
Get in the car and lock the doors now.
Come and sit down, my dear, and meet our guest.
We need to get away from here now.
We've got one!
Go! We'll be laughing about this tomorrow.
They'll find you. Mark my words, they'll find you.
Rotten Tomatoes on this. And this was part of one of those, in the early 2000s, they had that bit where there's like 8 films to die for or whatever, 30, where they did weird fake attempts at film festivals and theaters. Mm-hmm. This was part of one of them. I don't remember which one. But the Rotten Tomatoes, even though it's part of that, the Rotten Tomatoes still has no critic score for it.
Wow.
And the audience score is 19.
19.
Ouch. Whoa.
Budget of about $1 million. No box office is really available. But since it's part of that festival that did not do real well, I'm sure it was not a big moneymaker. The most interesting part of this was actually, I'm watching this movie. This is a Severin film release. So I'm watching this movie going, okay, this is late or early 2000s. It's not bad, but it's not what you usually expect from Severin by any means. What is going on here? So I looked it up, and it's directed by David Gregory. Let me tell you about David here. He directed the documentary Lost Souls, the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
The Al Adamson documentary that I talked about earlier in the year.
Okay.
He was a co-producer of Color Out of Space.
Whoa.
And the Severin founder.
Whoa.
And director of many of the extras and documentaries, giving him 225 director credits.
Wow.
And the writer wrote a movie called Devolved. He is the other co-founder of Severin. And so there we go.
Well, 19% though.
Yeah. But so we've got Jocelyn DeCrosta, who was in a movie called Herpes Boys, and also in Devolved. Erica Rhodes, who's in a short film group, Theater Bazaar, and Waiting for Dracula. And David Lombard, who's done some TV. I don't know.
I feel like that name's very familiar, but I don't know why.
Lombard is a Office Space character, I think.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is a story of an American family visiting their Irish roots. Unlike most of these films, exactly like most of these films, none of the people in the family are getting along.
Sure.
There's the blonde daughter, who's the high maintenance-y, kind of bitchy, complainy one. There's the dark-haired daughter. She's the sort of gothy, down on her life, depressed kind. And the father, who's divorced, who's trying to get them in good with his new soon-to-be wife. Right off the bat, you're like, okay, I've seen this before. And one of the more interesting actors in the movie is the blonde girl met a British guy and decided that he was going to tag along with them to the events. Amazingly enough, he does not turn out to be the problem. Right from the beginning, I'm watching this going, man, remastered by Severin, directed and written by the founders of Severin, and the audio is rough.
Oh, no.
Oh,
the dubbing sounds like, or not the dubbing, but it sounds like it was looped a lot. A lot of it was looped. And it wasn't blended real well into the background as it should. So it's very bizarre. And then at the same time, the sound design is freaking fantastic. The sound effects, the music, everything is mixed really well. So it's like, boy, that looping must have been rough. So they take a bus to the Irish countryside to see his something. I don't really know. And surprise, surprise, they miss the last bus home. And this bus driver's a dick because you've got 5 people running down the road yelling at him like a foot away from being able to smack the back of the bus, and he just keeps driving. It's like, well.
Wow.
Oh.
I said, don't be late.
Exactly. So this is how deep I was into this movie at times. I watch this going, man, my parents never would have let me swear that much or smoke in front of them. But they end up getting lost, of course, and they're walking down a road trying to find something. And they see like a light and they're following it. But they come across a car, which has been abandoned, but all the doors are open. So, hey, let's hang out in the car. It's like, okay, sure, why not? A couple of them go off to look. The British guy and the blonde, I think, and the dad go looking for an old cabin. And they find the old cabin, and the dad is immediately killed. And I will say the violence in this film is really well done. These weird looking kind of kids again. And they've got what looks like piano wire probably or something, because that's what it always is. And they wrap it around the guy's head, and it goes right between his eyes and severs the top of his head. I was like, oh, shit.
Wow.
So it does have that going for it. The film is violent good. And it gets a little weirder after that, even. If you've seen the poster for this, it's a woman with a wrap around her eyes, and there's like doll eyes on the outside of the wrap.
I recognize that. Yeah.
And so this is a group of inbred people, and they're basically trying to find people on, I don't know if I'm giving this away, if it happens at the end or the middle, but they kidnap women and try to impregnate them to keep their line, purifying their line back to where it's no longer a bunch of mutations, which, that's never going to work.
The more you tell the story, the less the title of this movie makes sense to me.
Oh, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I don't know what the plague is.
Okay, when do we get to Plague Town?
Yeah, there's no town. There's 2 buildings, and I don't know what the plague is unless I missed something where they explain that these genetic disorders actually came from a plague. There might have been like a witch that cast it. Movie didn't really grab me.
19% Kelly, what do you care?
Wow.
So a lady finds the British guy who's been injured, and she's trying to help him get back to health. And I watched a little bit of there's some good documentaries on there, obviously. And I watched some of the doc about the film. And this lady's, while she's talking to him, has a whole bunch of these little white things sitting on the table, but they're perfectly square. I'm like, what is the point of these? And they're never shown other than like some blood gets splattered on them. They were meticulously carved marshmallows.
What?
So it was like 3 lines of marshmallows on this table, all carved into squares. And even the director at times going, I don't really remember why I was so insistent on that, but we had to have these square marshmallows.
Oh my God.
Okay. At least you know that you missed something there. The lady that's helping him is the one who's got the daughter with the weird masked eyes, and she comes out and messes with him. Like, okay, this is weird. And when the British guy gets taken out, it's another incredibly gruesome, violent thing. It's just like, holy shit. So if you're interested in watching it, I'll leave that one for you to discover on your own. And watching the information on the movie, apparently the original idea was this 10 or 15-minute segment that ends with that. David wrote this with the idea of this guy being all those British annoying assholes he'd ever met and hated so much and wished he could do something to. So he ends up torturing him the most and probably hurting him the most and then killing him in the most violent way in the movie.
Oh my God.
So he had that, and he's like, yeah, that's great to get out. And then the other writer was talking about how they then reverse engineered the rest of the story back to the beginning. I'm going, that segment he's talking about is the best part of the movie. That series of stuff where things happen to him. He's in the house and the marshmallows, and that's really solid. The move up to it, I think they could have reverse engineered a little tighter. And the kind of end is also sort of okay. But that segment in the middle actually is really, really strong and really well shot. And the effects still are just damn good. So that did make it worth watching, because that series is so well done. And the British guy is incredibly charismatic and a lot of fun to watch. Although supposed to be based in Ireland, it was shot in Connecticut. And when they were doing the auditions, this guy walked in and he was actually British. So the director looked, okay, if this guy can act, he looks great, he sounds great, let's hope he can act. And I think he's the best actor in the film.
Oh, cool.
And so, they lucked out there for some weird reason. Horror Hound Weekend. It was a Horror Hound Weekend film as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do want to go back and finish the documentary because that's really interesting. I watched about, half an hour of it, and it's like a 90-minute full feature documentary, which is what these guys do. If you've watched Severin documentaries, they do a good job, and they've done a lot of them. That Lost Souls one is one of the best making of movie documentaries I've seen.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
So that I think is going to end up being better than the movie, and going, all right, I'm all right that I got this from Severin now. It was also the very first film production for Dark Sky Films, who have since gone on to do a whole shitload of stuff.
Yeah. Boy, isn't that like a an offshoot of Spielberg's stuff or something like that?
It was an offshoot of something, but I don't remember if it was Spielberg's. It was their offshoot to start making horror films and things along those, and sci-fi, I believe. So, they traveled. They mostly got killed. And Gorehounds will enjoy it because the effects are great. The story's fine. You've seen it 400 different times. That middle section, like I said, is really, really strong.
Mm-hmm. But
it's worth watching, but it's definitely not as good as I've seen all three of these films. Mm-hmm. This is the weakest of the three we're talking about today.
Well, I'm sorry that you chose poorly.
Yes, I did.
But still fascinating to kind of hear. Sometimes it's nice to come across these bad ones too.
And also being the weird Severin fanboy I've become over the last couple of years, it's kind of interesting to look and see what else he has done and where they came from and why they're doing what they do.
Absolutely.
So, that was cool.
Man, this episode, I feel like we've gotten all the noises. Sirens, seagulls. It feels like there's construction going on downstairs now. So if this is all coming through, that everybody is as entertained with it as I am every single fucking day of my life. So who's got this next one?
That'd be me.
All right.
And you're right, birds. It's all about, but not just kidding. Not going to be birds. We're doing kind of a related one to this. We're going to dive into our February subject, where we'll probably start doing like something about, who knows, relationships, hearts, blood.
It is the month of love.
That's right. So to kick that off, we're going to be talking about couples and or families uniting together to face down evil. So hopefully you're not going to have a movie like the one I just watched where all the family hates each other. Even as it progresses, they don't particularly learn to get along. They usually get killed off before they get the chance to come back and get together.
Right.
So, hopefully they'll stay together a little longer and be together.
Sounds like a good challenge to find a film where families actually get along.
Yeah.
The Fog would fit into this one because she's racing to save her child. Oh, wait a second. No, she isn't. She hangs out in the fucking lighthouse.
He leaves him with like an 80-year-old woman. He seems fine. He definitely doesn't just like open the window or whatever sometimes.
Foggy out here. What's going on?
Okay, I like this topic, and I like this idea of making February a relationship kind of month, because everybody's doing women in horror, right? We don't need to do that shit anymore, do we?
Oh, for February?
I did see where they're looking to move it to a different month.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that because like February is a
Black History Month is the same month and Women Horror Month, so they're saying maybe we should get our own month. I was like, okay, we'll see what
Why
happens.
don't you make a new month, ladies?
Make a new month.
Hey man, watch out. We control the moon. We can do all kinds of things.
All right. Okay, so that's the episode. As always, thanks to everyone who's liking and sharing and everything. Hey, just as an aside, I deactivated my Facebook account, and I have gotten a couple of people who have reached out to me, like Ron Forbeck or Danny Williford, just to make sure that I'm okay and all that. And I will tell you that I am okay. And in fact, I am more than okay since I have deactivated my Facebook account. But I've kept my Messenger up now. So if you need to get a hold of me for some reason, you can do it still through that.
I recommend DMing him pictures.
It's a good way to go.
Go. All right.
I'm just going to take pictures of like the most mundane things and start sending them to you. Here's my breakfast today.
Oh, fuck.
Here's my cat.
You know what?
Here's
I'll be
pictures
fine
of my
with
cat.
that as long as you keep your expertise in politics or pandemics out of the description of the photo.
Sure.
So,
I can completely do that.
that's why I took myself out of Facebook.
Yeah.
I just got tired of the shit.
It's hard. I don't look at it often anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be coming back because I have a book to promote here shortly and all of that stuff. And when I do, I will probably just kind of mute everybody, just to keep my sanity. And I'll tell you guys, I've been in a much better headspace since I got rid of it. So
nice.
It's like always a temptation. And then you think, but then I'll miss everybody. And it's such a hard time right now because we're all socially separated from each other. And it's nice to hear that it's possible and it still might bring great joy and relaxation.
Well, now that you brought that stuff up, though, I might have made a massive mistake.
You did not. I promise you. If you want me to look for you at your people, I can tell you, I guarantee they will not be worth going back to you for.
Right. Okay. So that's the show. We're coming back in 1 week and we're talking about relationships, couples, families, all that good stuff.
Good times.
The things that matter. Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.